interview with Lane Kiffin talking about Jaxson Dart, and that's one guy you haven't heard a lot of sound bites on necessarily since the draft itself. Obviously, leading up to the draft, he had a lot of nice things to say about him. But I always find the post-draft interviews more interesting because you got to be a little more guarded pre-draft. You don't want to be the guy that like hurts your guy's draft stock, but you don't worry about it as much afterwards. You just kind of say it like it is to a certain degree. So anyway, Lane Kiffin obviously again was the college football coach there at Ole Miss for Jaxson Dart. Said he was the complete package and a quick learner. He says if he's struggling with something, he's going to find a way. He's going to stay after. He's going to do whatever it takes. He talked about his processing. He said, I think for some that can be too much information because we're chunking him a lot of information, and most of our plays are snapped 15 seconds on the play clock. So he's getting a lot of information right up to the snap. He was great with that. And then he's also asked about as far as the taking the hits because he's been known to take way too many hits there on his quarterback runs. He said we worked with him a lot on that. That takes some time to get out of him. It'll show up once in a while, but he'll learn to play smarter. Most times throughout the week, he's very calm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought the biggest thing for me was the processing part. Because that's the biggest concern I have with Jaxson Dart. I think he's got the physical tools. I think that's without question. He has an arm. He has two arms, in fact, but he has a throw.
He has two.
He's good, obviously, on the run. But the mental processing is the thing that we never know going into it sometimes because in the college game, sometimes it's simplified so much for these guys that you just don't know. And for him to sit there and give him, kudos to that specifically, I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, it's post-draft, but you still kind of take it with a grain of salt because it's the head coach of the kid that he just drafted. So, who knows how much of it is him legit thinking that and how much is him just trying to say nice things about a guy who gave his all for him,
Yeah. One of his dudes, if you will, his alumni.
Yeah. Like, I get it. Like, it's kind of hard to talk trash about somebody who, worked under you like that there. But, it's definitely interesting, like I said, he brought that part specifically into the processing and talking about because that also you can look at as a kind of a mixed bag as well, because let's be honest, that's not going to happen when it comes to Jaxson Dart with the Giants. He's not going to be snapping the ball 15 seconds left. That's not an option. Like, he's going to be sitting there with like 3 seconds left probably on that play clock and be given the time to actually sit there and analyze and look at his defense before he takes that pass. So, it's going to be a different game. But that you could also say is part of the learning curve we talked about. And we've talked many times about how Jaxson Dart is going to need some help here to learn a pro style offense. It's a little different than what he did in Ole Miss there. And right there is prime example. You don't ever see somebody in the NFL taking, the snap with 15 seconds left, unless it is to do like a weird play to try to get people off their toes.
Yeah.
And that's a rarity in itself. You want that time to read the defenses. That's more important usually to the quarterback than anything else for them to know what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you got to know, like, you got to analyze, see like how they're trying to, try to figure out if they're trying to, zone you, try to, they do a blitz. Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot to that. You're just going to see a lot more blitzes. Like, it's a different ballgame.
Oh, yes. Jay, what's up, man? It says, what would have to happen with Dart for us to use a first-round pick on a quarterback in 2026? I don't think it's as much on Dart as it is on the team. Like, it's kind of like, and I don't want to use this analogy for results and what we think of the players, but I think of it like, go back to like Josh Rosen, what happened with him when he was, picked up by the Cardinals, and a year later they got the first overall pick. I think in normal circumstances, and obviously we learned that it would have been a mistake to do this, but I think in normal circumstances, they probably would have given Josh Rosen another year. But because they had the first overall pick and they had the chance to get Kyler Murray, who a lot of people are very high on, they just didn't give him that option. But I think in normal circumstances, they would have. Now, if the Giants are all of a sudden faced with a number 1, number 2 overall pick, and they're not completely sold on him, then yeah, I mean, that could happen. Now, if you're saying we have, let's say, pick 20, like, then there's probably no shot in hell that we get rid of Dart after 1 year.
Yeah.
So, because you have to
But,
give up so much to get up there, especially in this draft, probably with a lot of the quarterbacks people are very high on. So, like I said, I don't think it's Dart that decides if we get a first round pick and, a first round quarterback next year. I think it's a team overall.
definitely more on, the offensive line. Yeah, the whole team. And plus, at that time, you're probably not going to see Dart out there that much. So
No.
unless he does come out because we were that bad and you could see him the last 4 games, if he's that terrible.
I think it's part of the equation though with him too is that you might see him more if the Giants suck. And that might make them more likely to be okay with moving on from him after 1 year. And like I said, guys, like we said with this during the draft night, even again, not trying to put the negative thoughts out there right off the bat, just trying to keep it real. There's nothing that would stop the Giants from doing that if they're not confident that Jaxson Dart is the guy at the end of this year. He does not have the same kind of leash and rope that a normal rookie quarterback does, especially a first round rookie quarterback. Like they're under the gun right now, and it's not just Dable, it's Shane too. I think I'd be shocked if anything happens to Shane this year, just based on what you're hearing, coming out of the team here. But Dable's definitely not safe this year, but Shane's also on that hook there, and he's not going to sit there and go, "Oh, okay, well, Dart wasn't good this year. Let's give him 2 or 3 more years." Like he knows he doesn't have it. If he
Yeah.
needs to go pull that trigger, he's going to try to pull that trigger. The Giants suck, and he's got a top 3 pick, and he thinks one of those quarterbacks is better than Dart. Yeah, he's going to pull that trigger.
Be foolish not to.
It would be, because what's the worst case scenario? You're wrong about Dart, and you get a trade piece. You're wrong about Dart, and you have a really good competition between those two. Like either way, you got a good quarterback. That's all that matters in the end.
Yeah.
Get a good quarterback in this room, a good young quarterback that you can build around. So, like I said, we'll see what happens. That's a far way away there. But like I said, I just thought it was interesting with Lane Kiffin, specifically on the processing part, because that's what I'm most curious about is what's going to happen. That's the one that scared us the biggest when we were looking at him pre-draft, because you seem to be reading only about half the field.
Yeah,
And
he's going to have a third of the time he did.
well, that's part of it though too. Is if he only was given half the time to look at the defense, maybe that's part of why he had a problem reading the other half of the field. So it's like I said, things we'll have to look at, things we'll have to see what happens. And I do think still it just reiterates what we've been saying all along. Jaxson Dart needs time. You can't just throw him out there. And Jason's Hatfield reads like Daniel Jones. And like I said, we called him Daniel Jones 2.0 when we were scouting him. I'm really hoping we're wrong in the kid. And again, we've said before about Daniel Jones that he seems like a really nice guy. We root for him, even though he's no longer even a Giant anymore, because of how nice a guy he seems like. But Jaxson Dart also is another guy that's a really nice guy, and we're going to root for him. Not just because of the fact that he's a Giant, because he just seems like a good guy overall. Though, obviously, no matter what, we root for everybody who wears that Giant uniform. That's just par for the course, being a true fan, unlike a lot of people out there who love
Fanatic, if you will.
They love when people are like, "Oh, look, I was right. I was right. I would love to be wrong about this kid. Let him be an All-Pro.
Yeah.
Let him be an All-Pro. I'll be very happy. I will
eat his socks he has not watched since the day I've scattered them.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the Goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army. and for taking the time out to support the show.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please, please.